What's up, guys? How you doing? I hope everyone had a good week. Things are productive. Things are moving. Things are making things in general feel better. We had a pretty good week. I got a lot of feedback from my boss about some things we can do as far as improving the quality of these. So that's in progress. I appreciate you guys watching. I figured out a few things with the setup that weren't doing what they were supposed to. So we're working on fixing those. Hopefully, we'll have those improved here shortly. So stick with me. A few other tips and tricks that can maybe make things a little more engaging, a little better. But we've gone through, made some changes in the shop that I think were a little overdue, but have already made a huge improvement in overall morale and overall feel in the shop. Kind of, well, we're going through and we're putting the pieces of the puzzle back together. There were just some decisions made that weren't necessarily the most productive. But we didn't know that at the time, right? You never know until you try, and we're really big on trying things before we outright condemn them because they may be different or uncomfortable. We tried, it got really uncomfortable, and we've made some changes to rectify that. So moving forward, things already feel, like I said, dramatically better, and we'll keep pushing on from there because that's what we do, right? But I think there's a lot to be said for what makes the shop work. Getting cars through obviously is the goal, but doing that in a productive, positive, uplifting environment is something that I think gets overlooked a lot. I know a lot of the shops that I've worked in that hasn't been a concern. What morale is until it's at critical mass and ready to explode. Nobody's really interested. It's really awesome being in a shop that does prioritize team well-being and mental well-being, morale, all of those things. Those are the highest priority. If those are good, everything else can be worked on, improved, and gotten brought back in line. And that's probably one of the most important things I think that I've learned as far as my approach as managing a shop. Lucas has always been big on that, and coming out of corporate shops, there are certain phrases you hear that are the death toll of your time at that shop. Um, Learning to not read between the lines is something that comes with a great amount of difficulty for me. I'm very used to having to creatively interpret what's being said, and that's not something I need to do here. And it's really awesome, but really alien at the same time. Anyone who's in a corporate environment, you hear certain words, you just know it's time to start packing, or time to start looking. Usually the writing's on the wall long beforehand, but you don't necessarily drop that hammer until you have to. But we've done a lot to inspire the team to have a part in what we do. And that's not a new thing. That's been going back since the day I started. That's always been Luke's mentality, as long as I have known him anyway. And it's been probably one of the best elements of what we do. But we're bringing back, like I said, we're reassembling the puzzle that worked so phenomenally well for us in the past. I think there was some growth that needed to happen with a few people, so they left. Um, they are making their way back in, and it was probably the most cohesive team that I've worked with in a while. Definitely the most aligned as far as the vision and the feel, and I'm really excited to see that come back. So I've been dealing with some of my own challenges the past couple of weeks. I injured something, don't know what, but it has progressively gotten much more impactful to what I am physically able to do. And that is not a good place for me. I went through it once, and there were a lot of factors that prolonged that. Let's say it that way. Mentally, not being able to function completely at my job is a huge blow. We all know it's coming, right? We're with what we do. Most of us are really terrible about taking care of ourselves, doing things smartly, doing things in a way that doesn't put unneeded stress on our bodies and ultimately cause damage. We don't do that well. I know no one in this industry who doesn't use their body as a tool just as much as the stuff coming out of the toolbox. It's part of it. I mean, there are certain times we it's a high impact job. There's no way around that. Working heavy line is high impact. It's high body stress, high injury rate. It's going to happen to all of us after, enough time on our feet, enough time working with our arms over our heads. It's going to happen. It's going to catch up. And all you young guys saying that won't happen to me, I was there 20 years ago. And guess what? It's happening and it sucks. I would really, really strongly encourage anyone doing this, take the time to take care of yourself. If something hurts, don't brush it off. Get it checked out early before it turns into a major thing. The last thing you want to do is go down for a surgery or be on light duty for a couple weeks or a couple months because you got to let something heal. It's not fun. It is psychologically. I guess the impact on you as a person really depends on your drive in the industry. I'm very driven to not ask for help, not ask for. I'll ask for guidance from time to time, but I'm not real big on asking people to give me a hand doing my job. I did a set of tires last weekend for a buddy of mine, and it was one of the most excruciating things I have done in years. I committed. I said I was going to do it, so yeah, I did it. Don't recommend it, but if you have signs, pains, numbness, tingling, things like that, get it checked out. Don't neglect it. Don't blow it off. Then if you do, you end up in much more pain with a much longer recovery time. It's and if you're an owner and you don't allow your guys to do that, I have some choice words for you, but don't be a piece of shit. Take care of your crew. That's about the plainest way I can say it. These guys are the backbone of the shop. The guys in the back, and it's a team effort. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying the writers don't and everyone else in the front of house doesn't have a huge impact in what goes through the shop. But the guys in the back that are getting the work done are critical to keeping things moving. And when they start going down or they can't perform effectively and they don't have the faith in you as an owner to come up and say, hey, I think I need to get this checked out, that's a problem. That's a huge problem if they do not trust you to come up and tell you that. So you need to inspire that kind of environment where if somebody's hurt, they have the freedom to be able to come up and tell you, hey, I need to get this checked out. It shouldn't, things like workman's comp, all that crap shouldn't even come into the factor. If it's an injury that happens at work, then unquestionably that is workman's comp. Okay, there's no arguing that. But we all have lives too outside of the shop. If we get hurt at one of those, we need to get it addressed. We can't sit here and worry about, am I going to get fired if I go to the doctor? Am I going to get punitive? Is there going to be punitive action taken because I needed to go to a doctor's appointment or something? All of those guys saying that's not me, I've worked in those shops. I've worked for those people that will suspend, fire, punish, dock pay, whatever, because you had to go to the doctor. That's not okay. That's not okay. We're allowed to do things, and sometimes we're going to get hurt. The shop should not be the be-all, end-all of our life, and so many owners are very akin to treating it like the shop is all that matters to anybody that works there. It isn't. And it can't be. The minute it starts becoming that, you're the problem now. So, and I know there are a lot of awesome owners that are more worried about their guys' well-being than I've experienced in the past. I also know there are a lot of owners out there that could care less as long as their guys show up, put in their time every day. They don't care. If you need to go get something checked out, that's a you problem, and you have to work it out outside of shop hours. You're the problem. Take care of yourself, guys. Hope everyone has an awesome week, and we'll see you next week.